Okay, so today's learning target is I can find the x and y intercept of given a graph or an equation, and I can graph an equation using the x and y intercepts of a graph. Alright, so finding the x and y intercepts. So first thing, it's important to know what an intercept actually is. And an intercept just means that it crosses something. So if I'm looking for the x-intercept, I'm looking where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, and if I'm looking for the y-intercept, I'm looking for where it crosses the y-axis. Alright, so in this first example, I'm looking at this graph. I want to figure out where my x-intercept is. Okay, so I'm looking specifically at the x-axis. Okay, so here's my x-axis, and I'm looking at the point where my graph crosses the x. And it looks like, remember, this point is an ordered pair. Okay, so x is before y's, my x-intercept, I have to go over 4 and up or down 0. Okay, so my x-intercept is 4, 0. It crosses the x-intercept of 4. Alright, and it also asks me for my y-intercept. So you need to figure out where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, I'm going to highlight my y-axis here in green. So I'm looking at where my graph crosses the y-axis, okay, which is about right here at negative y negative 2. And it's good to note, remember, we always start at the origin when we're looking for points. So I don't have to go to the left or the right. I just have to go down negative 2 to get to my y-intercept. So since I'm not moving on the x-axis, the x value is 0. Okay, and my y value is negative 2. Okay, real quick, pause the video and try the second one. See what you get for an x and y intercept for this line. Okay, so what you should have gotten was for your x-intercept, where it crosses the x-axis, it's right here on negative 1. So starting at my origin, I go back negative 1, and I don't go up or down, so it's negative 1, 0. Okay, and for your y-intercept, we've gotten this point right here, it crosses the y-axis. Didn't go left or right to get there, but so that's x value is 0, and I had to go up 1 to get to my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is 0, 1. Alright. So, one of the key things with x and y intercepts that you need to notice is that for both of these x-intercepts, what do you notice about the y values? What you should notice is that they're both 0, and that's because every y value on the x-axis is 0. Okay? And for the y-intercept, you should have noticed that both of the x values were 0, and that's because every x value on my y-axis, so all the way up and down, the x value is going to be 0 because I'm not moving to the left or the right. Alright, so finding the x-intercepts given an equation. Okay. So the first thing, I'm looking at this equation. I want to get x and y on the same side. Okay, so right now x is on the side with the number. I want to move it over and have x and y on the same side. Now this is counterintuitive to what we did with slope form, where we were solving for y, but if we get x and y on the same side to find intercepts, it's just a little bit nicer. Okay, so I'm going to move the x over here. Okay, so if I'm getting rid of it on this side, I need to do the opposite. Since it's negative 4, I'm going to add 4x, add 4x over here. Remember, these are different variables. They're not like terms, so I cannot combine them. So when I rewrite this, it's 4x minus 2y equals 8. Alright, so if I want to find the x-intercept, I want to figure out an x value. And remember, x-intercepts have no y value. So I'm going to plug 0 in for y. Okay, so I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to replace the value that I'm not looking for, and in this case I'm looking for x, so I don't need y. I'm going to replace that with 0. I get 4x minus 2 times 0 is equal to 8. If I simplify this, or plug and chug, right, so this is negative 2 times 0, well, y drops out completely, right, so I'm left with 4x is equal to 8. And so divide both sides by 4 to solve for x. My x-intercept is 2. So my point, remember x, y, well, my y was 0 and my x is 2. So this is my x-intercept. Alright, finding the y-intercept, I'm going to plug 0 in for x. Okay, so plug in 0 for the one you're not trying to find. So I'm going to take this same equation, and instead of replacing the y with 0, I'm going to replace the x with 0. So I get 4 times 0 minus 2 times y is equal to 8. Negative 2y is equal to 8, and then solve for y. So I get divide both sides by negative 2, y is equal to negative 4. And again, I want an ordered pair, x before y, so we get 0, negative 4. Okay? So the x-coordinate of the y-intercept, so my x value for my y-intercept will always be 0. And the y-coordinate, or the y value of my x-intercept, will also always be 0. Okay? So, for example, the two answers, right? X-coordinate of my y-intercept was 0, so 0, negative 4. And the y-coordinate of my x-intercept was 0, so 2, 0. Okay? There's just a couple more examples. I want you to try both, pause the video real quick and try both of these and see what you come up with, and we'll go over them with you. Okay, so we should have done get x and y on the same side. Well, in this case, actually in both cases, x and y are already on the same side. So I want to find the x and the y intercepts for the following. Okay, starting with the x, I want to plug in 0 for y. So I'm going to put my parentheses around because I know I'm plugging things in. Okay, so we get 2x, so this is x-intercepts, minus 3 times 0 equals 6. That's what you should have done. The 0 makes this go away, so I'm left with 2x equals 6. Divide both sides by 2, so my x-intercept is 3. Alright, then find the y-intercept. Plug in 0 for x, so plug in 0 for the one that you're not looking at. That makes this go away. I get negative 3y is equal to 6. Divide both sides by negative 3. So y is equal to negative 2. Alright, and for the second example, you should have gotten, for the x-intercepts, plug in 0 for y. So we get negative 4x plus 2 times 0 equals negative 4. That cancels, or that drops out, so I get negative 4x equals negative 4. Divide both sides by negative 4. I get x is equal to 1. So my x-intercept is 1. Alright, and then for the y-intercepts, plug in 0 for x. So I get negative 4 times 0 plus 2y equals negative 4. This drops out. You should have gotten 2y is equal to negative 4. Divide both sides by 2. Y equals negative 2. Alright, so my x-intercept was 1 and my y-intercept was negative 2. Alright, so what we can do now is use these x-intercepts and y-intercepts to find quick graphs of our equation, because it gives it, at a minimum, to graph a line I need 2 points. So if I find the x and y-intercepts, well, then I've got a really quick graph of my equation. Okay, so To do that, I want to graph the equation 2x minus y is equal to 8. First thing we're going to find is the x-intercept. Okay, so remember, plug in 0 for y. I get 2x minus 0 is equal to 8. Then, well, that 0 goes away, so I've got 2x equals 8, and divide both sides by 2. X equals 4. Good. So I've got my x-intercept, which is nice because I have an x-axis here. Remember, your y-axis goes up and down, x-axis goes left to right. Well, this is a positive 4. X in the positive direction is to the right, so I'm going to plot 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to plot it right there. Alright, so I've got 1 point on my graph. It's my x-intercept, where it crosses the x-axis. Now I need to plug in 0 for y and find the y-intercept. I'm sorry, to find the y-intercept I need to plug in 0 for x. Okay, so I'm going to replace x with 0, minus y equals 8. Well, that leaves me with negative y equals 8, and to get rid of that negative, I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 1. Okay, so I get y is equal to negative 8. Alright, now this time I've got y in the negative direction, so that's down 8. Okay, so when I plot my y, I'm going to start at 0, and I'm going to count down 8. 1, 2, 3, 8. Plot my point right there. You notice I've got 2 points on my line, so I can just add in a line from there. Alright, so that's all we have for x and y intercepts. Have a good night, and be ready for class tomorrow.